And it is Con Carne, presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston, 1015 Chicago Avenue. I'm James Van Osdell, on Grand, outside Upton's Breakroom, where I'm about to eat amazing vegan food with Scary Lady Sarah, DJ Scary Lady Sarah. The Autobarn Mazda of Evanston, 1015 Chicago Avenue. The car we're in right now, we are in a gigantic, super safe, super luxurious Mazda CX-9. I've been driving it around for the past couple months. This car is perfect. I'm in the city. It's a good city car, but it's also good if you want to hit the road, head out somewhere. It's like 60 degrees in Chicago as we're doing this, which is like a 110-degree swing from where it was last week. Great car to just hit the road, do a little road trip in. Perfectly safe to drive around Chicago. I love it. The Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. DJ, Scary Lady Sarah, are you ready to eat food?
I am so ready to eat food.
It's Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Osdell.
All right, so we're here. We're outside Upton's Breakroom. I want to thank Natalie Slater, our go-to person, a vegan titan in her own right, Natalie, for hooking us up at Upton's. She got us all kinds of amazing food tonight, and we're going to start busting into it.
What I got was kind of a vegan staple, but I just was in the mood for it. Let's see, is that all right?
Now be careful, this car's a loner.
No, that's right, here, wait. This is their kale salad with oven roasted tofu. I believe it's really awesome.
The menu here is fantastic. It's a deep menu. They've got a brunch menu for the weekends. Natalie, our friend at Upton's, recommended I get the bacon mac. She said that's like the number one.
Yeah. Oh God, countless times. It's so good.
And one of the things I'm really excited about, they do a milkshake of the day. And on paper, this one concerned both of us, I think.
Yeah.
In reality, this is fantastic. This is a tahini milkshake. Yours has chocolate syrup.
Yes, tahini with chocolate syrup. It does not taste like sesame seeds. It tastes like halva. Right. If you know what halva is.
Right, halva's the kind of like Middle Eastern, kind of like sandy tasting.
Sandy
textured, yeah. It's sesame seed tasting. But this is a very subtle but sweet. I would have this any day of the week. And it's a soy-based shake, and it's tahini, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. The other flavors that they've had that I've really loved are they do a blueberry once in a while, which is fantastic. Their chai ice cream is great. I think she said next week they're doing strawberry, so I'll probably be back next week.
All right, well, cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, this is the real thing. That's so good. Oh, my God. All right, let's talk about you, Scary Lady Sarah. And feel free to bust open food as we do this. I know you're starving. This is me.
Kale coming out of my mouth while we're talking, but yeah.
That's fine. Oh, hang on. That looks delicious. Can you hold it up to the camera?
So this is kale with avocado and, say, toasted tofu or something like that. It's a meal.
All right, go ahead and dig in. Let's talk about you and your history. Scary Lady Sarah.
Yes.
For the uninitiated, for people who may not know who you are a DJ. You are a celebrated DJ. You are a well-traveled DJ. You are really the quintessential goth DJ.
People have said that about me, yes.
Now, you started doing Nocturna in the late 80s?
Yeah, 1988.
And that's the regular goth night. And it's an institution at this point.
Yeah, I think after 30 years that would be considered an institution. I do it now every other month, every 6 to 8 weeks, I would say, on a Saturday night at Metro. It's an 18-plus dance night, and it's absolutely a ball. People are the sweetest. We have the best patrons in the city. Sorry to anybody else. And it's just all kinds of dark music. It's primarily a goth night, but I'll kind of pepper in some industrial and some EBM and some new wave. But it's definitely a goth look, feel, and vibe. And I do other club nights that are a little more specific. And I do a night called Le Petit Mort, which is every other month on a Saturday at Demon Tap. And it's a small night, hence the name. And it's devoted entirely to goth, post-punk, and death rock that has only been released in this century. So anything from the year 2000 to now, which is a pretty wide breadth, 19 years so far. Then I do other nights that might be specifically only shoegaze. I have every second Tuesday of the month a night called Shimmer, which we do at Slippery Slope in Logan Square with my co-DJ Philly Peroxide. And then we have Noctronica, which is sporadic, and that's kind of the electronic side of Nocturna. That's only the EBM and industrial music. So Nocturna is a little bit of the all-encompassing something dark for everyone who likes the dark. And then there are these more specific nights for people who are really fans of those genres more than the others.
All right, I'm going to give you a tip here. When I ask a question, that's your cue to eat. Because I want you to be able to eat food, but I also know it's challenging as you're talking to do this, and I'm waving a microphone in your face.
How are you going to eat this breakfast sandwich?
I'll get there. I'll figure it out. It's not about me, Scary Lady Sarah. It's about you. So going back to the 80s, I mean, you were not a kid, but you certainly were very young when you started this up. How does one start down the path you're on or that you've created?
I think, music has been probably the most important thing in my life that I've considered the most important thing since I can remember, since I was like 10. I would fall asleep with the radio under my pillow so my mom wouldn't hear it. I mean, I was absolutely addicted to listening to music anytime I possibly could. And I found the hardcore punk scene, and that was my life when I was a teenager in the earlier and mid 80s. And it's a true statement that from my ages of 13 to 17, a week did not pass when I wasn't at least one hardcore show in Chicago. So punk rock kind of led its way into the post-punk era for me, and listening to the big bands of the day, like finding Sisters of Mercy and Bauhaus and Susie and the Banshees, that kind of straddled some punkish and some darker new stuff, and that led towards finding more and more and more music that was less outwardly angry and more emotional. Well, different emotional, but I still love punk of the day, but goth is where I found myself to feel the most comfortable. I fit in for myself.
Mm-hmm. Again, keep eating. That early period, you mentioned Sisters of Mercy. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is kind of like that holy trinity of the early goth. Bauhaus, Sisters of Mercy, Susie and the Banshees. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where it's like the starter kit for goth, right?
Yeah, definitely. And sadly, and those bands will always be, the great bands that they are. But sadly, a lot of people kind of stop there and don't delve too much into it. And one of the reasons I do the night I mentioned a minute ago, that Le Petit Mort, is because it's for older people especially, it's kind of hard for them to want to hear new stuff, I think, or to find it again. And it's a challenge to find this new music because we have all of it at our fingertips with the internet, very unlike what it was before. I mean, I had to go to Wax Tracks and Record Exchange and ask the people working there, hey, what's new, and delve into fanzines and things. But now you can kind of hashtag goth, look up and see. But still, then to dig through all that and to comb through and find music that is maybe rises above some of the rest of it, it's quite a challenge. So those early bands definitely made their mark and influence, but there's just countless bands that are current and made up by young and old people that are making music that I think fulfills that need for, the dark aesthetic, the goth thing,
And you said it. This is something I've said for a while too, and we're totally in lockstep on this. Everything ever created is out there to discover. You can find any band, any song you've ever been interested in. You could discover anything. But the hard part for me, and you mentioned people who are getting older and they're kind of stuck with the stuff they grew up with, there's that curation that's missing, that curation piece of knowing where to find it. To that end, I looked at your Bandcamp page. You curate. There are, dozens of bands. I like to think I'm plugged into music. There are dozens of bands I've never heard of. And, that's you. That's a pretty cool role. And I think it's an important role, especially in the modern day, to identify those curators, those people who understand what you're interested in and who can help guide the way.
Right, and there definitely are a pretty good handful, 2 handfuls full of people that I follow too for that same reason, and I believe that they follow me for the same reason too. But things like Bandcamp, my favorite thing is to get an email that has that booyakasha. It says, "You booyakasha, you made something awesome happen." When somebody finds something on your Bandcamp and then they buy it, I'm like, oh yes, that's so fulfilling. Or when I'm DJing in a club and someone comes up and asks, "Who is this? I tried to Shazam it didn't show up," And people do. I see them Shazamming on the dance floor while I'm doing that. So they're discovering it. Yeah, and I absolutely consider myself a curator. For sure. In fact, when people ask me sometimes about Nocturna, which is very, very request driven, of all my club nights that I do, it is the most. I say that I'm curating this. This is for the audience too. I have my self-indulgent nights when I can play only things that I know, or very few people, and that's fine. But this is to kind of get the newer things mixed in with the older, and get people aware and start to feel comfortable dancing to them. And hopefully the end goal is that they go out and see the bands when they tour, and that they actually purchase. I mean, nobody buys music now, but maybe they'll purchase their music on Bandcamp, or at least a T-shirt or a sticker or something that's going to support these artists.
Or a record. That's come back.
Yeah, right. Vinyl is very collectible now. I have to admit, I have a turntable that I don't have a stylus for, so I haven't jumped on it quite yet. My band will be putting out vinyl, so I suppose that I should get that so I can.
And we'll talk about Bellwether Syndicate, your band, which I love.
Thank you.
Republic is the newest song, which is absolutely fantastic. I've listened to it ad nauseum. Keep eating, because as you eat, I'll show off what I got here from Upton's Breakroom. I'm going to open this with one hand, which suggests a dexterity that few mortals possess. This is the breakfast sandwich. When our friend Natalie Slater was going through the menu, she was talking about the things that she flat out loves. Without question, the breakfast sandwich was like top of her list.
It's so good.
And you've had it. Look at this.
Yeah.
So there's the seitan on there.
That's tofu, actually.
Oh, is it tofu?
Well, no, I'm sorry.
There's tofu. Then there's
both.
yeah.
There's
tomato, just a big old bed of spinach
So good.
on an English muffin. And I don't know how I'm going to be able to eat this, but we're going to give this a
It's
shot.
a little messy, but it's so good. We get that often.
Here we go. This is substantial.
Yeah.
The carnivores, their breakfast sandwiches don't even come close to this. No.
That's the great thing about vegan restaurants now. Nobody that I know that's not a vegan or vegetarian would ever feel like they're missing out.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, oh, this was great, except it's it's not real, quote unquote. It's just good, delicious food. Fills you up.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was harmed in making it.
And that's a good point. I was vegetarian. I've mentioned this before, years ago, back in the 1990s. And there were places like Chicago Diner, Blind Faith Cafe, but your options were still pretty limited as a vegetarian. I mean, now it's like, okay, here we are on Grand Avenue, and there's Upton's Breakroom, because there's a factory that makes these products that go around the world. I mean, just anywhere you look, you can find vegan food, and it's not the struggle. And for someone like you, who tours and travels, I mean, it's so different from the 90s when you were doing that.
Oh, for sure. Can I mention an app that I use? Is that right? Yeah, there's an app called Happy Cow. It's a lifesaver. I mean, you can go anywhere, anytime, and get at least something to eat, no matter where you are. And you're vegan nowadays in the U.S. But Happy Cow is great. You just put in. Well, you don't even have to. It just detects where you are, and it tells you within whatever mile radius what options there are for dedicated vegetarian or vegan restaurants. It's awesome. So whenever we tour, we use that.
And I want to talk more about your travels and your DJ work. I also want to show off. Oh,
It's awesome.
oh, this looks great.
It's so good.
This is the Bacon Mac. Behold, the Upton's Bacon Mac.
So if you think vegans eat only this, it's not true. We do eat this too.
It smells really good. All right, so here's what we're going to do, Scary Lady Sarah. We're going to stop the Facebook Live, and we're going to thank people for watching. We're going to feverishly eat, just so we can enjoy this food. We're going to keep the interview going. The interview will be on concarne.com and your favorite podcatcher on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, etc. Tune in. The next thing for those watching on Facebook Live, Nocturna, the Valentine's event.
Yep, it's on Saturday, February 16th at Metro. There's an early show at Metro, so we're opening a little later. We're opening at 11:45 p.m. We go till 5 a.m., and like I always say, we dance until dawn. It's awesome. It's $10 to get in. It's 18 plus. We encourage people to wear red and black for the Valentine's theme. It's our New Loves and Broken Hearts ball that we do every year. There's dancing all night long, of course. Then we also have our secret post office Valentine game, which is really fun and funny. We have the awesome Glitter Guts live photo booth. So all night long you can just go and it's free. Well, I pay for it, but it's free to you. Take your picture and they'll put it up online, make you internet famous. We have really cool vendors, and we're doing a bunch of giveaways throughout the night. So yeah, it's a big party, and everyone is generally like just digging it.
All right, so that's the 16th, the Nocturna Broken Hearts Valentine's Ball. Wait, what is it?
New Loves and Broken Hearts Valentine's Ball.
All can be accomplished in the same night. So go enjoy the music she plays. Go dance and do your thing. We're going to eat some more vegan food. Thank you for watching on Facebook Live. This Facebook Live is brought to you by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. That's scary lady Sarah. She's amazing. She's Goth AF. I'm wearing a wool sweater. I'm so not Goth AF right now. But I like the music.
Hey, that's all that counts.
That's all that counts. All right. Thank you for watching. All right. So we just shoveled a lot of food in our mouths. The bacon mac and cheese is ridiculous. It stick to your ribs food.
Absolutely. Anyone who likes mac and cheese, no matter if you're vegan, vegetarian, or eat animals, would love that one.
Yeah, Upton's Breakroom. This is delightful. It's just west of Damon on Grand Avenue. I mean, it's a tiny little space because it's the break room for Upton's. But the food is fantastic, and they change out what they serve special-wise. I love it. Sarah, I'm so glad we ate here tonight.
Oh, me too. Great choice.
Going back to Nocturna, we kind of started to talk about when you started being a DJ. I mean, did you have the skill? Like, let me put this in context from what I understand club DJing to be. I've had people say to me before, because I've been a radio DJ, "Oh, hey, do you want to spin at this place?" And I'm like, I wouldn't even know how to start doing that. That is a skill set that I know I don't have. How did you acquire that?
Because I was such a music fanatic, and I really mean fanatic, I found most of the alternative and the underground music on college radio, and I started hanging out at college radio stations. Actually, as a teenager, I started going down to WZRD at Northeastern. Probably was considered a nuisance by the people there since I was a teenager and they were a little bit older, but became friends with quite a few and became a little bit of a fixture for a while. This is like 1985. And watching that gave me the idea that it was something I wanted to do. So DJing in clubs when I started, it was just records, of course, and the occasional cassette, and that was definitely no fun. Sometimes bands would only give you their music on cassette, and DJing from a cassette in a club, not something I would recommend.
So when you queued up the cassette, did you have to put the pen in the hole of the cassette and kind of wind it back?
Absolutely. Doing that and having it, ahead of doing that at home ahead of time, yeah, it was a pain. And then, of course, CDs came along and everything was a lot technically easier. And since 2010, I've just been using a program called Tractor Pro off of my laptop, which is just because of the ease of doing that and being able to carry my whole music collection rather than crates and crates of CDs, which is what I used to travel with, which was becoming more and more cumbersome. And I'm not the kind of DJ who does a lot of technical stuff. I curate. I find music I like that I think should be played to the right audience, and I play it. I don't do... I think I match mood and sound and feel, but I don't do the fancy stuff that a lot of DJs do. I admire the DJ's skills who can do that well. That is not the kind of DJ I am, though. So I probably have it on that end of things a lot more easy. I think your personality and what you bring to your club events for the type of things I do is the most important part.
So at what point, when you started doing Nocturna, at what point did you realize, oh, I can keep doing this. This is a thing. Like the community is there for this.
I don't think I ever realized that. That's why when people say to me sometimes, "Oh, I'm sorry I missed the last Nocturne," I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry. I'm not retiring anytime soon. I just keep doing it because I love doing it, and people keep going." It absolutely was not a life plan. I just knew it was something I loved to do. I loved music so much, and I wanted to share it, and I love the community that I found in the Goth subculture. And definitely wasn't a phase for me because here I am at age 51, still doing it, still traveling for it, still finding delight and joy and camaraderie and compassion among the people who come out. So, yeah, it was. I guess a career found me more than I found it.
I love that. Hey, let's talk a little bit about the goth subculture. There is definitely a visual aesthetic. I mean, above and beyond the darkness of the music, there's a visual aesthetic. I mean, you've got an ankh around your neck. You've got the goth look going. Talk a little bit about the subculture.
Sure. Well, if you want to get kind of textbook about it, a subculture encompasses so many things, and one of the things that makes up a subculture is the look, the actual visual identification. So it's not just a music style. It is a music style, and you can like goth and not be part of the subculture, of course. But
I think that's me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's more people I know than not right now, because I do know a lot of people that were part of the goth scene kind of left, and there's, thank goodness, tons and tons of new people coming in, and it's one of the reasons I'm so grateful to have Nocturna at Metro, because I can do 18 and over club nights, so we have this younger generation coming in, thank goodness. Yeah, and I mean, the look is, gosh, I mean, to me, it's nothing big, no big deal, because I've just been doing it for so long. It shocks me when people are, react. But on the other hand, because of the internet and because so much time has passed, at least in cities, seeing someone that looks, that's dressed the way I am, or has different colored hair, or elaborate makeup, isn't unusual, and that also does not necessarily signify that they're part of the goth scene either. So it's a lot of mixed up things because of the internet has a lot to do with that.
There is a book in the works?
Right, because we celebrated 30 years of me doing Nocturna this past spring, I decided a good way to commemorate that was to publish a book that was almost like a scrapbook and a memorabilia book and memorandums. So I put out a call to just anyone who'd ever gone, really, to regulars and people who just maybe went once in a while over all the 30-year history, to give me a story. Either it was, what was your first time like? What was your impressions? What do you think about it, feel about it? Did you have a funny story that happened at Nocturna, or did something of note? And I'm combining the stories that I collected with the 30 years of flyers that I have, and photographs as well. So there's not.
Hey, did you take a lot of photographs? I mean, because pre-cell phone, I mean, do you have a lot of pictures from back in the day, so to speak?
I have a decent amount, but yeah, nothing like now. I mean, I didn't start. I only got an iPhone a couple of years ago, but I was a crazy Polaroid picture taker, so I've got hundreds of Polaroids from that time too. Yeah, so there's a fair amount, and I did put out a call for people to submit photos if they had. So combining all that, and the book is will be called 30 Years of Nights. It was delayed because of whatever things that delay things, so it's going to come out definitely a little bit later than we planned. So if there are people who've been in Nocturna and still would like to contribute, feel free to send me a message on Facebook or any of the other social media, and we'll see about including it.
Very cool. We talked about you as a curator, and I think that is such an important role as a music fan, identifying those people who can help turn you on to stuff. I mean, in my better days on the radio, I like to think I was doing the same thing, and it's a wonderful, it's thrilling as a music fan to be able to share music. So the question is, who curates for the curator? Where do you discover stuff?
Right. Oh gosh, Bandcamp is really helpful. I also just voraciously read music blogs. So many. It's kind of hard to just pull one out, really, because I mean, so many. I look at the bands that I like already, and I see who they like, and usually there's a pretty good indication. I'm always keeping my ear out and eyes open. I read other DJs' playlists too. I post all my playlists online, and I also follow the DJs whose tastes I admire. And even if I find just a few bands that I haven't heard of, that's great, because then that adds up.
This is really a full-time job. I mean, no kidding.
Absolutely.
The discovering and playing of music for you.
Yeah, like I said, I may DJ, 5-6 times a month, but the rest of my time is kind of spent preparing for those things and for the future. And then I do other kind of goth scene related events that aren't club nights too. And I try and bring music into those for people in the scene. Like I run the Chicago Gothic meetup group, and we have actual physical meetups. And I kind of try and turn people on to new bands in person. I think when you only read things online, it can get a little overwhelming and just things blur. And it's one of those things you can't really sum it up in a sentence or two. And that's the eternal online war question. What is goth and what is not goth? So-and-so is, so-and-so isn't. It's like, certain things definitely aren't, but some things might have less of an obvious connection, but there is still something there. And if enough goths like it, it's pretty safe to say that, it's at least got the stamp of approval.
And as someone who plays and admires music, I guess it only makes sense that you make your own music. Let's talk a little bit about Bellwether Syndicate.
Yeah, that's a new thing in my life. The Bellwether Syndicate is the band that I play rhythm guitar in, and I sing a little bit more on the new album, which is really frightening to me because I've never done that before. But my husband, William Faith, is a veteran musician. He's been in, we always joke, he's been in more goth bands than not. I mean, any of the big, his own band that got a lot of praise in the 90s and 2000s was Faith in the Muse. But he's been in, I don't know if I say a few of them. I mean, Mephisto Waltz for many years, and Shadow Project with Roz Williams, and one version of Christian Death with Roz Williams, and he's the March Violets, and oh my gosh, Sex Gang Children, on and on and on and on and on. He recently, our band toured with Clan of Zymox, and he got to be their guitar player for more than half the tour. So he's also the American lead guitarist in the UK anarcho-punk band Conflict. They have a British band and they have the American band, but the singer goes back and forth. So he, being such an accomplished musician, was the perfect person to teach me how to play guitar. I'm still learning. I will never say I...
Oh, wait, you didn't know how to play guitar before?
No. I started learning guitar at just a few years ago.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, very new. I really wish I had learned as a child, let me tell you. It's a whole new respect, beyond the respect I already had for musicians, because it is physically so bloody challenging. Yeah, my hands hurt today because I'm learning bar chords. Yay. Yeah, I got calluses and all kinds of, I can't keep my fingernails long anymore, but yeah, it's so much fun. I love it. I'm really excited about the new album that we're putting out actually this spring, so not too much longer.
That was my big question about Bellwether Syndicate. I've heard Republic. I love Republic. I've played Republic on the air and off the air repeatedly. I want to hear what's next.
Yeah, well, we're putting out a 10-song album. So far, we've only got the EP out, which was, 2012 or 13. That was the first thing when we were brand new. And our single Republic just came out in October. And the other 9 songs will be kind of in that vein. Yeah, we're not a goth band, but we're made up of goths. But I don't think, when I hear the music too, just listening to it as a DJ, not as someone in the band, I wouldn't say it's goth. It's something that goths would like, for sure. Yeah. But it's post-punk, indie rock.
That sounds right.
Post-punk, I think. Yeah. It's a little hard to put my finger on, and it's funny because while that's challenging as to my DJ side, I like it as someone playing it, because I think one of the worst things is to tell a band, oh, you sound just like so-and-so, because who wants to sound exactly like somebody else? If it takes 4 or 5 bands or more to describe to someone who's never heard it, that's a good sign. And I think that's what's happening with the Bellwether Syndicate so far, anyway.
I love it. Okay, DJ Scary Lady Sarah. Nocturna on the 16th at Metro. It's the Valentine's thing. Black Rose is optional.
Black roses are optional, but encouraged.
You've been doing this for a long time. There's a reason why people are flying you to DJ events all over the globe. Really cool. And what I love about talking to you and learning more about you, you're a fan of music first, as I would expect. But I mean, it really comes down to you're a music fan who just found a way to be a music fan and turn it into a hustle.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very lucky that I've had, well, I don't know, lucky, but also I work hard for it. So I don't want to diminish that too, because there's a lot of people who say, you're so lucky you get to be a DJ. It's like, well, I don't exactly get to be a DJ. I work to be a DJ. But absolutely, number one, music. Yeah, above all.
All right, thank you so much for doing this. Was this fun?
It was a ball. Thank you so much for thinking of me. And I hope if anybody is interested in this kind of music, come check out what I do.
You are the curator. All right, this is Con Carne. That's scary, DJ Scary Lady Sarah. Con Carne presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. I do want to thank once more our friends at Upton's Breakroom for a really killer vegan dinner. We'll be back. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, James.